The town of Elmore is full of bizarre characters, but some of their actions were so what the heck that they had to be deleted. There is one specific episode that parents complained looked like an existential nightmare rather than a cartoon. Cartoon Network usually lets a lot of things slide, but these moments crossed a boundary that even adult viewers found uncomfortable. From secret drug metaphors to forbidden romances, these are the scenes that were too hot for TV. You will not believe what Gumball and Darwin were caught doing in an episode that never officially aired on television. When Ben Bakalit first thought of the show back in 2007, he had a really unique idea. He wanted to use characters that were rejected from old commercials and sketches. Basically, he created a world out of the things nobody else wanted. By 2008, Cartoon Network was on board, and they expected a silly comedy about a blue cat. But here's the catch. The creator had a very dark sense of humor, and sometimes that humor went a little too far for a family channel. Some scenes were so psychologically intense that they made adults feel uneasy. For starters, let us look at an episode called The Skull. In this one, Gumball and Darwin are trying to help their friend Clayton stop lying. But it is not that simple though. Their version of help is actually pretty terrifying. They decided to use electric shock collars to teach him a lesson. Yeah, about that. They all strap into these collars like they're playing a game. Every time someone tells a lie, they get hit with a painful jolt of electricity. Gumball asks Clayton about his day, and when Clayton lies about fighting a tiger, he gets zapped. Then Darwin tries to speak, but he makes a tiny mistake and gets knocked down by a shock too. This kind of aversion therapy is something you would see in a gritty movie, not a cartoon for 7-year-olds. The crazy part is that the boys thought this was a normal way to hang out. Eventually, they realized Clayton cheated by breaking his collar, so they kicked him out of their group. US censors saw this and immediately decided it was way too cruel. They cut the whole shock collar scene from American TV because they did not want kids thinking it was okay to zap their friends with electricity. And that is putting it lightly because the show was just getting started with its boundary pushing. Another huge controversy came from an episode titled The Slap. This is hands down the most widely banned episode of the entire series. It was pulled in multiple countries because of certain jokes that were a bit too mature. In this story, a character named Tobias has a weird habit of slapping his friends on the backside after a high five. Gumball notices that Tobias slaps everyone except him, and he gets really upset about it. He actually goes on a mission to get slapped on the rear because he wants to feel included. It sounds totally ridiculous, but the way it was shown made many broadcasters very nervous. Gumball even starts wearing extra padding and showing off his behind to Tobias just to get a reaction. In the end, Tobias admits he just did not think Gumball wanted it. Broadcasters in Europe and the Middle East found the whole thing too suggestive and banned the episode entirely. But these physical jokes were not the only thing getting the show in trouble with the law. Sometimes even a simple hug can turn into a total disaster in the town of Elmore. There is an episode called The Hug that was banned in parts of Asia and the Middle East. The problem was that the censors thought it showed too much boy-on-boy affection in a way that felt like a hidden joke. It all starts because Darwin calls Gumball predictable. To prove him wrong, Gumball walks up to a random guy and gives him a massive, long hug. It is supposed to be a joke about how awkward social situations can be, but it got very weird very fast. Gumball realizes that once you hug someone like that, you can never go back to being strangers. He spends the rest of the episode trapped in this loop where he feels forced to hug the guy every time they meet. It creates some of the most cringy moments in cartoon history. What most people don't realize is that these jokes are meant to poke fun at social anxiety, but different cultures see things differently. Many networks decided to just skip the episode because the long, lingering hugs were too much for them to handle. Then there is the issue of Darwin's love life, which is a total mess. In an episode called The Girlfriend, a bully named Jamie decides she wants a boyfriend. She picks poor Darwin and basically forces him into a relationship. She is not nice at all. She eats raw steak and treats him like a toy. The whole episode feels less like a cute crush and more like a scary situation. Jamie tells Darwin that if he ever tries to leave her, there will be serious trouble. This kind of dating violence was a huge red flag for broadcasters in Eastern Europe. They did not like the idea of a relationship being built on fear and threats. Even though Darwin eventually stands up for himself on a roof, the journey to get there was too dark for many channels. They felt it sent the wrong message about how people should treat those they like. But get this, Darwin also had a romance with a ghost girl named Carrie that caused even more problems. This happened in an episode called The Matchmaker. It was banned in Turkey and several other places because of the heavy romantic themes. People were not ready for a love story between a fish and a ghost. Gumball tries to help by making a love potion, which is always a bad idea. He accidentally makes Darwin and a paper bear girl fall in love using magic, which is basically tricking someone into liking you. Eventually, Darwin and Carrie share a real kiss, but the supernatural weirdness combined with the dating stuff was enough to get it banned. The show was clearly moving into territory that made traditional networks very uncomfortable. If you think the kids were the only ones causing trouble, you have not seen Richard Watterson in action. There is an episode called The Lady where Richard starts acting very suspicious. He sneaks out of the house wearing a trench coat and a wig. Gumball and Darwin think their dad is seeing someone else and that their mom's heart will be broken. But here's the deal. It is actually way more innocent and way more bizarre. Richard is actually dressing up as a woman named Samantha so he can hang out with a group of old ladies. Richard is a 6'4" rabbit, so seeing him in a dress and pearls is hilarious. He just wanted to knit and gossip with friends who liked the same things he did. However, many countries in North Africa and the Middle East saw this as cross-dressing and immediately banned it. They did not want to show a male character pretending to be a woman for the whole episode. It was even removed from some streaming services in Europe. It is a shame because it was actually a really sweet story about finding friends who share your hobbies, even if you have to wear a wig to do it. The show also liked to take shots at the government, which is exactly what happened in The Nuisance. The Watterson family is so chaotic that the mayor of Elmore tries to pay them to move to Ohio. He literally offers them a free house just to get them out of his sight. The mayor wants to sell the town to rich investors and he knows the Wattersons make the neighborhood look bad. This was a direct jab at corrupt politicians and how they treat poor or messy families. Some regions in Asia did not like the political satire and banned the episode. To stay in their home, the family tries to act like perfect citizens. They try to help an old lady, but they accidentally drop a giant clock out of a window and crush a car. When they realize the mayor is still going to kick them out, they decide to turn the town into a total nightmare. They pour toxic waste in yards and draw fake chalk outlines on the sidewalk to make it look like a crime scene. By the time the investors arrive, Elmore looks like a scary movie. The visuals were so intense that several countries decided it was too much for viewers to see. The family was willing to destroy everything just to keep their piece of the world. The most controversial moment in the history of this show never even made it to television. It's in a mini episode called The Entrance. In this story, Gumball and Darwin want to make a big impression at a party. They hear about something called cool cologne that is supposed to make you feel amazing and confident. Basically, they use way too much of it. Instead of just a spray, they basically soak themselves in it. The result is something that looks exactly like a drug trip. Their eyes start spinning, they start seeing things that aren't there, and they act like they have totally lost their minds. It was a very obvious metaphor for huffing chemicals or using illegal substances. Cartoon Network refused to air it on their channel. It was only ever released on streaming platforms like HBO Max, and even then, many places deleted it. Seeing these young characters lose control of their senses was a step too far for the brand. It shows that even a show as wild as Gumball has a limit that it cannot cross without getting shut down. What most people don't realize is that these banned scenes tell us a lot about what society is afraid of. Whether it is a joke about a hug or a story about a mayor, these moments were cut because they made someone in power feel nervous. The town of Elmore is a place where anything can happen, but the real world has rules that even Gumball has to follow. These deleted scenes are a reminder that behind the bright colors and funny faces, there is a lot of hidden depth and sometimes a lot of hidden darkness. Is it possible that we are still missing even more secrets from this show? If a blue cat can cause this much international drama, imagine what else is out there. How far should a cartoon go before it becomes too dangerous for kids to watch at home? Make sure to like this and subscribe so we can find more hidden secrets together.